And here we are at the Battle of Castulo. The Romans continue to push forward through the center. They pretty much smashed away. We see the remains of those rallied units. They're routing again. A little bit of action over here on this side. I think that's the only unit remaining for the Carthaginians. They've still got this secondary line here. And the Romans aren't going to be able to reach that this turn without pushing harder than I really like to do, although it might be worth it in this scenario to try to punch through that before Carthage starts getting their real forces in. I may try it. We're starting to go. We've gotten the 2-point leaders. We're going to get the 3-pointers, and they're going to be able to push in, and maybe we'll see the cav do its job or something. Romans continue their push forward in the center. I see the Carthaginians have rallied the lights. Some of them that have run, but some of them are, including the cav, been knocked off the map. Not quite clear how no cav pursuit works. Just mean they don't pursue off the map, which is how I've been playing it. And that's how I played this one as well, rather than, oh, they just don't get to play with that role at all, which I don't think is at all reasonable. I should have pursued. It's the only reasonable thing. However, how much sense does it really make to be able to chase cav and still be on the map? I don't know. I certainly want the cav pursuit on the infantry, and the only way to apply that I could see was to leave it with the cav as well, and that's what I've always done. What do we have? Well, yeah, most of the all of the Romans have actually gone. We pulled the main body back there forward, and now it's time for the Numidians to come on, and we'll see what they do. And we can see here they managed quite well. It's kind of hard to tell because I chose to use the dark green counters instead of the brown ones. The reason for that being that I wanted to use the Iberian infantry. I didn't want to use the brown ones for the Carthaginians for that. So there's a little mix-up there in terms of, there's a lot of green counters for the Romans, but it's pretty clear. They've punched their way in, driven off some of the cav. We're going to get a point total in a moment. I think that the Iberian troops may be in danger of routing here. But the Numidians have definitely shown their power driving away the Roman cav, largely. We got this one. And also smacking into some of those lead units that maybe jumped ahead a little too far. Let's see what the points are here. 14, 20, 26. That's got to kill them. To 5 for the Romans. Let's, if I can find my sheet of paper. 26 for the Iberians. Yeah, they're off the map. And 5 for the Romans. Alright, so the Iberian army has just routed, and it is gone. I can just remove it, and I should actually probably just put that away, because it doesn't need to be counted any longer. Anyway, the way is open for Rome right now, right? But I think there are going to be some rather large Carthaginian armies coming in at this point. But that's it for the Iberians. Alright, onward. Okay, so Publius has moved almost all of the Romans. Now, I kind of screwed up. The Iberians should still be on the map, but routing this way. I don't think there's really an effect to that. The only thing that could happen is some of those units could have slowed up the Roman movement a little bit. But as it stands, the main Roman column's just charging forward down this road, trying to get off the map. That's a victory condition for them. It's sufficient. They don't have to defeat the entirety of this 2 Carthaginian armies that haven't yet come on the map. Right now, without them there, it seems best to get out of here. It may not be a realistic assessment. It may be that Publius wouldn't have been aware of this trap coming down on him, but I'm playing it as though he is. He's gotten most of his forces in place. Some of the infantry are moving forward, kind of driving the Numidians back. One of them actually got caught back here. But now he's out. He got one momentum, he got a second one, and the Numidians trumped in on that. They didn't want to see any more action pushing forward. They probably should have gone on in the first one. But now we're going to see if they can do rain a little havoc on the Roman march there. And after a full pair of momentums, three activations, the Numidians have pounded into the Roman flank here and really driven it quite hard. A couple of units more destroyed beyond what was already dead. A couple of units routed, including the last of their horses. They're taking 10, 16, 22, 28 points, I count. Let me make sure I've got that right. 18, 28, yeah. That's putting them up to a big 33. There's still a long way to go. The Numidians themselves probably can't destroy the Roman army, but they can certainly make things ugly. And the Romans have to make sure that they're not leaving routing guys behind, because they've got a certain amount that they have to hit. It's fairly high for their eligibility to leave the board. They have 300 or nearly 300 tactical quality points, but to win this scenario they have to get 165, more than half their army off. That's not an unreasonable suggestion. Hey, if you're half destroyed, half of you's been sent running the other way, you're no longer an effective force. But with half his force, Publius could combine with Gnaeus and actually still be able to face a reasonable fight against the Carthaginian army. He probably doesn't have the numbers to face them with what he's got on the board, and that's what the scenario is all about. So we're moving on into the fifth turn, and now one of those big Carthaginian armies is going to come back. And really, the Romans have done nothing to the Numidians. They're almost impossible to catch. They're just so damn potent. You can chase them away. If you've got equivalent cav in terms of numbers, you can do some damage to them. You can get pursuits on them. But without the cav, they're really, really hard to hurt. Anyway, we'll be moving on into this, the fifth turn, I guess, in order to see whether or not, the next Carthaginian line is able to have a little bit more effect on the Romans. I think the Romans could get away from the Numidians. I don't know if they can get away from the next one. That's going to be Mago's army, coming in either 10, 16, and 17, which is way over here, this little gap, or it can come in 1700 to 2100, which I would... that doesn't sound like it's near them. It sounds like it's back here. 1700 to 2100. That doesn't sound too promising. That's just going to speed them up. I would think this is probably the faster route. I just don't see too much of a point to coming this way. They're not a faster army in general. Alright, well, we'll see. Starting things off on this, the fifth turn, the Romans actually got a number of actions off of this guy. He's within range of Publius, so he was able to do ragged line orders. And he pushed forward some of the units and also swung around, drove off some of the Numidians, hit one of them, and just trying to create a screen so that he can get the majority of the line by. That's actually quite a bit done by this one prefect. Let's see what else happens. And all the Roman units except Publius have moved already. Got, again, almost everything pushing forward here, trying to keep a screen against the Numidians. Publius is going to go back and maybe rally this one unit, try to pull up some of the reserves back. But here's the problem. Mago's coming on. And his force, it's far away. If the Romans could just disengage safely, they'd be out of here. But we don't know where does Hasdrubal come in? 1700 to 2100. That's up in the west. And the other option is 4211 to 4215, which is going to be up on this side coming through. really, this is their biggest threat right now, other than the Numidians who are trying to harass them and keep them in place. There's not going to be something else stepping in their way. So if they can push through, they've got it golden. I was kind of worried that maybe some of the Carthaginians will get in their way again. But with the Iberians out of the way, I don't see too much threat. But I don't know. There's a certain number of points. So, for example, we look at the numbers. The Romans have lost 33. Their total tactical quality is 292. That puts them at 260. They'd have to lose another 100 points to be in real trouble. And if they do that, they're routed. So they might as well just keep pushing forward. Lose what they can, what they have to the Numidians, but just try to get off the map. Not really how the battle actually turned out. The Romans actually turned and fought, I believe. Anyway. It may just be too easy a battle for the Romans. Or maybe I misplayed the Iberians and should have been pulling them back and giving ground more gracefully. I didn't expect them to be quite as brittle as they were. Very, very small route number there. Now we move on to the end of the 5th turn, and you know, the Numidians, they always are just so frighteningly powerful. They turned against those Romans who had tried to form a line against them. And we see they're running, a few destroyed, even with the even with some zones and stuff to try to prevent the Numidians from just totally demolishing it. And they're in a position where they're threatening the heavies here. It's almost as though you just can't get away from them. The only thing going for it is, okay, well, they're kind of used. Some of them have some really high fatigue, tactical quality hits or whatever against them. We saw 7s and stuff like that sitting on them. But their leader, Massinissa or whatever, is just amazing. For someone who's not, you know, the elite leader of the army as a whole, when you're looking at a Hannibal or a Pyrrhus. And in the case here, well, he's got this great range, 6 hexes. All he can command are those Numidians, so he's able to you know, really squeeze them for everything they're worth and then recover them afterwards. And the Roman army is having real trouble facing that kind of dedicated attention to the Cav. And it's not like these forces coming on have crappy leaders. They have the average run-of-the-mill Carthaginian leaders on them, which aren't bad at all. And if need be, they could push their forces too. Sure, the Romans can push and try to get additional movement, but they have a lot of troops to move. They used most of their leaders, actually they used all their leaders that they could to do what they did this last turn. And that's about as much as they can do. They may have even gotten a little lucky, and still they're having some struggles there. Point-wise, well, let's see. Obviously, the Numidians are essentially invulnerable. But we're going on to turn 6 with that next set there. And we got another 11, 18 points for Rome, putting them up to 51. They're almost halfway gone. And it's going to be, I don't know. If they turn and fight, I know they're doomed. It's so obvious when you see this. This is not bigger than they are, but that and that between them are enough to give a tough fight. And then with the Numidians in there, it just becomes impossible. So running seems like the only option, but I'm not sure it really is an option. It's what I'm going to try. It's, I think, the only way to get off. But I'm not sure they have much of a chance here. Alright, this one's going up. And what is this? Castulo. We'll start a new video for the remainder of the battle.